All right. If you could travel in time, where would you go?
Good afternoon to my fellow friends here in Cleveland and to all my friends out there in YouTube land. The question is, if I could travel in time, where would I go? If I could travel in time, I think where I would go is back to the 1760s, 1770s, 1780s, back to the Revolutionary War time. And that may sound like a strange kind of answer, but I've read lots of books and I've always been intrigued by that period of time. I've always been intrigued by a bunch of people who are over in Europe and they're over in England, and some of them sort of outcasts, and they sailed across the ocean. That was an incredibly dangerous trip, many of whom, some of their family members died, and they landed in this strange land and they didn't know anything that was going on over there, and they started planting corn and trying to make friends with the Native Americans, and pretty soon some towns started cropping up. And then one day, they get really angry at the guy back in London, the king, and they decide, we're going to protest. We want to start our own country. And they had like no money, and they had no army, and they didn't even know what they were doing. So I think it's just a really interesting time when there were lots of great thinkers, lots of great strategists, lots of great tacticians in terms of military as well as government. So it was the formation of a government that we now know today is the United States of America. And when you think back to that period of time in the Revolutionary War and what it took to overthrow the king, and now we see this interesting corollary that's going on in the Middle East, a part of the world that many of us thought would never want to overthrow some of their governments. And they're doing the same thing that we did 250 years ago. Different culture, different religion, different everything. And yet what they want is freedom, which is what we wanted back then. So we've all kind of grown accustomed to the world and the lifestyle that we live in here in the United States. And it would be interesting to go back in time to the 1760s and the 1770s when they said, we don't have it great, but we want to make it different. We don't like the government that we have today. We want to change dramatically. We want to overthrow those guys. And they risked life and limb, and many of them did lose their lives. So for me, I think it would be a great, intriguing time to go back and hang out with George and Tom and Ben. Thank you.